got our equipment circuit. Let some people in. All right, so we have our mini band today, helping our muscles that are already fighting big forces of gravity, shoving us to the floor. So helping our body and the muscles that help us expand away from our center, away from our spine. Sharon won't be here, so I think we'll be able to get started because we're going to be a little pressed for time with our 3 rounds. So we'll do 6 exercises each round, and we're going to do 3 rounds. And we're going to just jump right in, and I'll do a decent job of walking through the cues, so we don't really need a demonstration. But we're going to do 2 exercises seated, and then we'll move to a lying position. So we'll move to lying on the floor, so you'll both want a chair or a stool, and then also a yoga mat or a mat to lie on or a towel on the floor. And then it's nice to kind of have a little bit of space at the end, because one of the exercises we're going to have your feet slide on the floor. So it's nice to be able to keep your heel on the floor and slide across, whether that's, for me it's on a carpeted floor, for others it might be like hardwood or laminate. But it's nice to have that little space at the end. So for the first exercise, for round 1, we're going to do the humeral external rotation, and today we're going to pay attention to positions of the palm and the forearm. So with each round we're going to slightly change that. The first round we're going to do palm up, so thumb is going to be out. We're going to slide the active arm, we're going to place the band around the wrist. We're going to grab the other end of the band with our hand. The elbows are bent, tucked in at your rib cage. You're going to take the hand that's holding the band, you're going to slide that arm back to where that hand is closer to your stomach, and the active arm and hand is out in front. And we're going to rotate to where the hand and forearm are aligned with your shoulder, and then we rotate that forearm and hand across the stomach. We're going to do that 6 times. So go ahead and join me. Just nice, gentle motions. We're not trying to move past where that arm is. We're just trying to get out to that line where that hand and wrist align with that shoulder, and then right back in. And then we'll switch sides. So again, with the active arm, we slide it around the wrist. We grab over the top with the hand. The elbow is bent. We pull one hand that's holding the mini band closer to our stomach. The other one's out in front. We let that arm slide across the body or rotate in, then bring it back out. Thumb is pointing out. Get a good pause on the way out. And then just bring that hand and forearm aligned with that shoulder once again. All right, we'll go back to the other side. We're going to slide this band. We're going to put our leg through it, up over the thigh. We're going to place the hand through the band, again, right at that wrist. Palm is up, still thumb out, and we're going to do an elbow flexion. So here we're sitting up. We're just flexing through the elbow, keeping that palm flat. You're just going up to wherever it feels like you cannot continue to pull. The resistance gets too tight. We're putting tension into the front of the arm, the bicep, the elbow flexors. Again, we're going for about 6 repetitions. And so if you've been joining me the last 2 weeks, we've been doing 2 rounds. All right, we'll switch to the other side. So we've been doing 12 reps. Today we're going to do an additional round. So if you do the 6 all the way through, then that will be 18 total reps. So we know how many you're doing. We're going to do thumb out, palm up, sitting up nice and tall. Just a small little elbow flexion till you find that point where you can't really move any further. You hold that for a second, allowing these muscles to create a greater amount of tension. All right, so now we're going to move to the floor for our lying exercises. So the first one we place, for the first 2 actually, we're going to place the mini band around the tops of our feet. We'll lie down with our feet off the end of the mat. And here, as soon as that band's around, the feet kind of want to supinate and go towards each other. We have to actively hold them out. And you hold a little bit of pre-tension on the band. And then we're going to slide one leg out. We're going to stay with the same side. So this one side is holding it isometrically, and we're just sliding the foot out. Get a pause. We're trying to keep the heel and the back of the leg on the floor. And we're doing 6 repetitions, getting a pause, not forcing it. All right, you get to 6 on that side, we go to the other, so you hold it nice and tightly. Keeping a small space in your back, trying to keep everything else still, only the leg that is moving, so everything else has to either be relaxed or contracted enough to brace. Again, you're trying to keep that foot on the ground. You get to that 6, you relax. Now we're going to move into our next exercise, which is going to be a hip flexion, and we're allowing the knee to bend. Here we're going to stay with the same, or actually, I'm sorry, we're going to alternate with these, but you want to make sure that the body is fully stable before you switch to the other leg. So we're going to pull one leg up. It's like a march. You're pulling your knee up, pulling that foot, allowing the knee to bend, thigh towards your head. Again, we're alternating sides. And you're trying to keep a small space in your back. Feeling forward, you get any of that popping when that leg is either moving up or lowering back down. Final 2. And you're just pulling up, putting tension in these hip flexors. And relax. When you get to that 12, now we're going to continue to slide this mini band up across the knees so they wrap around both of the thighs. We're going to move to side lying. And when you're side lying, placing your head on your upper arm, you want to make sure that your arm isn't totally up overhead. That can be a little bit more strenuous on your shoulder. So people that have shoulder issues, make sure it's a little bit more out front. When we bring your knees up, even with the hips, that's about a 90 degree. We want to come out of that about halfway between the full extension, which is going to be about 45 degrees. Here we're going to lift your foot and knee at the same time and get a good hold. We try and want to keep that foot aligned with the knee versus allowing that foot to go higher or knee to go higher. Try to keep that foot and knee aligned. Back down. We want to avoid allowing your body to move. Just getting a good pause. You can feel it back here through the glutes. Two more. And we'll switch to the other side. Might have to reposition these bands every now and again. So again, it's all right to kind of reposition, check your shoulder and arm, the hips. We're lifting that foot and knee at the same time. And then down. Again, lift, try to separate, but not allowing any other movement to happen in the body. Last one. And relax. All right. We're going to move back. We're going to lie on your back, but we're going to move the band from the legs back to around your wrist. If you want to make it a little bit easier, you bring that mini band more along your, closer to your elbows. If you want to protect your back, keep your knees bent, feet flat. If you want to make it more of a challenge through your spine, go ahead and extend your legs out. So you can have it up by your wrist if you want to make it more of a challenge on your shoulders. We pull the bands apart, hands apart. You're taking one hand back as you keep the other one in place. We're going to alternate. So this is helping the lower part of the shoulder as well as the top. As we do the shoulder flexion, the other one is isometrically holding this neutral position, which is a hip or shoulder extension. motion. And relax. All right, we'll move back to our seated position. We'll take a brief break. I'll let you get some water, set back up. Being aware of how does it feel through the tops of your shoulders, through the back of your neck and deltoid area. How does your rib cage feel? How do your hips feel? Right. So we're adding a lot of tension to these areas, which is nice. So again, with the active hand, the active arm, we're sliding it around our wrist. We grab over the two sides of the band with the hand. The hand that's holding it, we pull that hand close to the stomach. The other hand, the active arm, elbow stays away. Elbow stays in at the rib cage, hand is away. We let that hand and arm rotate across the body, and then we rotate back out. And so here we're going to do palm in, palm facing in, thumb is up. Good control. Get a pause at the outside, not trying to move past the shoulder. And relax. Okay, we'll switch to the other side. So again, we slide it through the wrist, grab over the top of both bands. The hand that's holding the bands, we're pulling back. The one that's around the wrist, the hand is away from the stomach. Then we pull away. The palm is facing in. Thumb is up. Again, we bring this hand and wrist aligned with the shoulder, let it go across the body closer to the hand that's holding it, and then back out, stretching the band. We're not trying to move past this outside of the shoulder. I'm not trying to move beyond that, because we can really still help strengthen the rear delt and medial deltoids by not having to go beyond that. So then we'll relax off of that. From there, we're going to slide this around your thigh. We're going to stick with the same hand position, which is now palm in, thumb up. We're sitting up tall, and we're just doing this elbow flexion, just pulling up, get a good squeeze, back down. You can feel that squeeze at the top. And rock. Okay, we'll switch to the other side. Again, it goes around the thigh, active hand around the wrist, thumb is up, palm in, sit up tall. You can even bring your elbow and upper arm closer back to your rib cage, pulling up. Two more, that's it. And relax. All right, we'll move to our lying exercises. All right, so these first two, we place the band around the tops of our feet, close to the heel and tops of where the lower leg starts. So not closer, you want to be away from the toes as much as you can, but still around the feet. We're going to lie down. We're going to keep a small space in your back. Your feet naturally want to get pulled together by the band, and you want to keep those feet apart, which is a pronation of the lower leg and the ankle. And then you've got tension already on the band. We're going to stay with the same leg. We're going to slide the leg out to the side, get a pause, and then let it go back in. Again, we're staying with that same leg, doing repetitive repetitions until we get to that 6. It's a very small movement before you hit that range where you can't move any further. But get a good pause out there and then slow down the return. And then we'll switch to the other leg. Allow the other leg to slide. Everything else is stabilizing, preventing motion. Last one. All right, now we're going to move to active hip flexion, allowing our knee to bend as we bring that leg up off the floor, keeping that small space in your back. We're not trying to over accentuate, we want to maintain that. We're going to pull the leg up, and here we're going to alternate. So you're switching legs, which knee you're pulling up, and you're trying to hold the other foot down at the floor. Again, do you feel any popping? All right, get to your 12, 6 each side. Then we slide the mini band up, cross the knees, cross the thighs. We're going to do a side line. Again, checking where your arm is located so you can comfortably rest your ear on your head. Getting these thighs in a good position. Here we're trying to lift that foot and knee at the same time, same level. We lift, we get a good pause, and back down. We're already getting a benefit by lifting the weight of the leg, let alone when we add this resistance and we get to this point where we can't move it any further, we get a nice isometric contraction in an area that we, at our end range essentially. One more. And these muscles back here are really great at helping us be able to walk and stand better. Take tension away from our back. We get those thighs in the right position, make sure our hand and arm that we're resting our head on are in a good position. Here we go, lift that foot and leg. Two more. Again, you can put your hand back here and feel it get tight. As you bring it back down, it lengthens and loosens. And when it's tight, it's shortening. All right. From there, we're going to move to bringing the band around your forearms or wrist if you want it to be more challenging. And again, if you want to protect your back, if you have back issues, keep your knees bent, feet flat. If you want more of a challenge, through your core and even your shoulders, take your legs out straight. If you want more of a challenge, narrow your base of support with your legs closer together. Otherwise, have your legs out. So here we are, our hands move away from each other. We're keeping one hand in place, taking one up overhead as the other one stays in place. And we're doing alternating. Which arm is moving, which one is staying still. And relax. Are you good at holding that arm still that you're trying to maintain and prevent from moving? As soon as you get to your 12, 6 each side, we'll go ahead and take a break before we jump into round 3. All right. All right, so we'll move back to our seated position. This is a great time to scan, how does your body feel, right? Are you feeling things in your neck, into your shoulders? Are you feeling it? Like right now, I'm very aware of my low back. There's just a more of a sensation and awareness back there than I was before. And so it almost makes, right now I feel like I want to sit up more extended, where when I was sitting how I first sat down, I was more aware of my back, and then to change that sensation, now I had to change my body's position. But we're going to start our round 3, so we'll go ahead and jump in, but it's always nice to scan your body and become aware of where are your body's sensations at, especially if they're putting tension into it. But we'll go ahead and get started with round 3. So mini band around the wrist. We grab over the top of the band with the other hand. The hand that's holding it, we slide back towards our hips and our rib cage. The other hand is out in front with the elbow at the rib cage. Now we're going to do palm down, so thumb is across the body. Here we're letting that forearm and hand rotate across and then bring it back out, aligned with the shoulder and back in. It's a very small movement without a ton of tension, and as soon as we pick up tension, it almost prevents us from moving because these muscles just aren't used to having a ton of work. Or they work all the time. We'll do 2 more. They're just not getting used to having the isolated work. And relax, okay? We'll switch to the other arm. So again, palm is down, thumb is in. We grab over the top. Hand holding goes closer to the rib cage. The other arm that's active, elbows at the rib cage. Palm and wrist, hand aligned with the shoulder, let it go across the body, then back out. Aiming for about 6 reps. Paying attention to, hey, if this is your first time and you haven't done the 2 rounds, or if you've been more sore after doing 2 rounds, not necessarily pushing to do 6 in this 3rd round today. And relax. All right, now we're going to place this mini band around your leg up to the thigh. We're going to stick with the palm down, thumb in. This active arm, we place it around the wrist, sitting up tall. So I'm keeping the palm in that same position. It's going to work a different set of those elbow flexors, put more strain onto it. So my palm is down, thumb is across. We're just lifting that arm up, trying to keep the elbow and forearm or upper arm locked in at your side. Just allowing your forearm and wrist and arm to move. And so with this position, I don't get as much forearm and hand movement before I get blocked. And then relax, we'll switch to the other side. But we're also not used to doing a lot of lifting and elbow flexing with our palm down. So this is a good position to help some of these other muscles get attention that we're not used to training. So palm is down, sit up tall, thumb is across. We're lifting up, get a good pause. A lot stronger on this side. And it's nice to have it loaded across your wrist so you don't have to have it going through your hand, because if it's going across your hand, that becomes a lot more responsibility for muscles. So it's nice to have this band across your wrist so that you're not having to use your hand muscles. And for a lot of people with shoulder and hand and wrist arthritis, carpal tunnel, it's nice to take some of that stress out of your hands and really focus in on your elbows and shoulders. So we'll move to the floor. We're going to lie on your back, keeping that small space in your back. Again, your feet want to move together. You work to keep them apart, which is now allowing that foot and ankle to do pronation. We're going to stick with the same leg. We're sliding it out. Just till it gets blocked, pause at that extreme. Let it slide back in, trying to keep that foot and leg on the floor. Two more. Get a good pause out there, and then just let it slide back. But slow down, because as you slide out, here we'll switch sides. As you slide out, you create resistance, and then that band's trying to speed you up to pull you back in, and you want to slow it down. Go out till it stops, then pause, and come back in. One more. And relax. Now we're going to move to our marching, lying on your back, face up. This is hip flexion and allowing your knee to bend as you hip flex. We're going to alternate. Nice smooth motion. This is also helping the tops of your feet, helping your dorsiflexors of your ankle, because you have to keep your toes pointing up, otherwise the band will slip off. Final two on each side. One more each side. And relax. All right, we'll move to sliding the band around the thighs, over the top of the knees. Move to side lying. And we've got our hips about 45. We've got our knees stacked, feet stacked. We're trying to lift that foot and leg at the same time, the same height, not allowing that foot or knee to go higher. And then back down, just a nice little pause. And so I could tell that that got a lot more challenging on this third round than it was on those first two. So I reached the fatigue. So then get those hips to about 45. Get your arm in a good position so you can rest your head. And then we're lifting up. Getting good pause and then right back down. Try not to allow your body to roll forward or backward. Two more. And relax. All right. We're going to move to placing this around your wrist or forearms. We're going to lie down on your back. And so this time I'm going to do it with my knees bent, feet flat. And again, this is a preferred position to protect your back. You can even do it with your back arched or back flat. I'm going to choose to do it back flat this time and see what kind of changes happen throughout my shoulders. Immediately take your arms apart. Taking one hand back, we're going to alternate. The other hand stays in place. Two more, one each side. And relax. Excellent job with the mini band workout.